God put a mark on the damned that would let others know they are not to be killed. Anyone who harmed the damned would be punished 7 times over. The damned were hidden from God's presence and forced to live out their lives carrying out the punishment of their cursed bloodline. The sin pumped through the veins of one descendant to the next. All bore the same mark. I know that my family carries a cursed bloodline. We were made to face the damned. Our blood makes us special. Our bloodline attracts the damned and gives us the power to fight them. The hunt continues for the one that got away, but my mission beckons me forth. This feeling I have is getting worse. Something pulls me west. I must find out why. I am the last one of us left. The blood of my family runs through my veins, and no one can take that away from me. I am not alone. I am their hope. I promise you. No matter what, come hell or high water, or actual hell itself, I am through with running. Flores Park had better be ready for me.
What up, what up, what up? Hope everybody is doing great on a Monday, getting their week started. Started off well, why not? Don't get off to a bad start. But what's up? Well, we got a little thing going on right now. We'll get right into that before I get talking about some of the other stuff. We're having of course, Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale that is going to end around midnight. So go grab these items. We have our for sale right now. Mass print copies of ISOM number 2, Alpha Core, and Yaira. We also have some posters and as well as some shirts that are all part of this that you can get in on. So go to Rippaverse.com. I also have it in the description. I also have it pinned in the comment section. Shout out to everybody that's hanging out with me today. I know I don't stream much these days, but it's always cool to check in with each and every one of you. So go grab these items. If you have not, it's a great time, great opportunity to get stocked up on some shirts, posters, and maybe even get a cover of a book that you have not already got, or maybe you are a new reader. It's a great chance to get in. So go to Rippaverse.com or look at the description as well as the pinned comment up at top. All right. So what have I been up to? I'm working. Got some things cooking. We're obviously getting prepared for Blood of Ruth. We got Rippaverse items right now as well. Go get Achromatic Chronicles Green, which is closing in on 2,000 books sold. Got that going. Of course, the Blood Ruth collection, Horseman books, for the most part, have gone out. There may be some stragglers, but for the most part, all of those have gone out. Appreciate all that love and support you guys have been showing. Am I going to be able to? It's December now, so this is the first stream of the month. Am I going to be able to get to another collection by the end of the year? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. But I'm cooking. Spent the weekend doing that. Also, we have the calendar. If you have not got that, you want to go grab those. Start shipping that here shortly as well. Where are we on Blood Ruth? Let's see what the updated numbers show. 9,600. Have we hit 9,600 yet? I'm about to look right now. We have. 9,612. We hit a big milestone of 9,500. So under 400 copies until we get to 10,000 total books sold for Blood Rules #1. So thanks to all of y'all for that continued support, man. We will have some further announcement for our plans going into next year. We got a lot of plans for 2025. Getting something special prepared for you all. And like I said, are we going to get this next collection out by the end of the year? And what that's going to be, we'll be in contact. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. But thanks, man. We appreciate you so much. We got a lot of stuff going, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff that we have coming in the pipeline. So be on the lookout for that as well. We have several books that are being worked on that you guys already know about. You know Zaylen, you know ISOM 3, you know the next installment of Yaira as well. But there's a lot of more officialized announcements that we're going to need to make to really get you guys stoked for it. I see my man's and co-hosts in the chat as well as AKA Hill versus Babyface. Y'all go follow him. So yeah, man, we've just been cooking. I've been cooking, man. Trying to, keep my head down and really just grind. We talk about it every stream. It is important to mention because I know there's folks that follow me for other things. There's folks that follow me for me chiming in on what's going on in culture, gaming, comics, and it's not really, well, we have it reserved, right? Every Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Central on my channel or my co-host channel. That's when I think is my dedicated time to kind of chime in on a lot of other stuff because I just got too much work to do, man. And I just feel for everybody that's doing the independent thing because I know you feel me. I know you can get really tricked, let's say that. Or it can be tempting to kind of, okay, I'm trying to keep up my social media presence, and you should hire people for that probably. But as far as like streaming and all that, I think there was it was a rather short period of time where I think people misunderstood that streaming meant sales. And you only are one person. So unless you are a twin like the Saskas, you don't have another version of you around. So time that you're spending doing videos and stuff like I used to do, streaming every single day like I used to do, that's time that you're not spending creating. And if you are ambitious like we are, then you kind of got to get to work. There's no kind of about it. There's no way around it. There's no substitute for doing the actual work. So yeah, you don't see those videos and stuff as often. I'm not streaming as often. People are like, where are you at? This is not good for your channel. I understand that, but I'm okay with that. Reason being is because I am not a streamer anymore. I'm a guy that creates comic books and comic book accessories. I sell comic books and comic book accessories. And as a hobby and as a little outlet every now and then, I stream. That is the era that is upon us. And that's just how it's going to be. It's going to have to be that way. Instead of streaming for several hours at a time, like I used to every day doing For Cannon's sake, we stream every now and then we spend the rest of my waking day writing, editing, conversing with this person, with that vendor, getting things lined up, making sure the team has what they need to be great and be able to succeed. All that stuff takes time. So yeah, gotta create. I gotta create. But this is fun for me. Make no mistake, I love what I do. I love what I do. It's just I work 7 days. I'm gonna keep working 7 days, and it's not gonna stop. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's in the independent sector. Doing the same grind, right? Shout it out, obviously, bros, fellow Texas-based iconic really impressive what those guys do. The reason why I bring them up definitely with this regards because I think that people, unfortunately, creators make the assumption that, well, you need this streaming presence and you need all this other stuff to try to be modern. And while I do think that I think it is a must, definitely because people have been burned in terms of how they spent their money. I do think it's a must that you are interactive, at least in some capacity, or company, you have people that are front facing that can do that. So having that community and being able to converse with and connect with your fans and customers, I think is a must. 1000%. I think it's a must. That said, I don't think streaming all the time is required. And the reason why I bring up Iconic is because of exactly that. Those guys are not streaming like hardly ever. It's about as organic of an approach as you can get. They have exploded in Japan due to word of mouth. It's organic, and they don't have that streaming presence. They just get to work, right? They'll chime in on social media from time to time, but they're not like sinking into a bunch of hours, trying to maintain some like video presence, right? So constantly doing videos and stuff like that. Unless it's pertaining to their brand, right? Unless it's pertaining to the various comics that they have under their brand and Iconic. And I think that's a lesson for independence, right? Go, look at guys like that and understand there's different ways to do this. You don't need to be streaming every single day in order to be great as an independent creator, especially in comics. There's other ways. I know, man. You see a couple of people have a little success, and I think people get tricked because it's so visible. It's like, well, it has to do it that way. Like, you don't have to replicate the Rippaverses and what we did as far as our plan and at least the front facing stuff that you guys are aware of. You don't have to replicate that in order to be successful. You can do other things. There's other ways to get it. And I think that people often get tricked, right? We use the term indie all the time. Indie comics, indie this. And it starts to, and some people seem to use it as if it's more of a hive mind. And I'm like, do you not understand what independent means? It's not a hive mind. It's not about doing what everybody else is doing. That's the antithesis of it, right? Independent means exactly what the term says, independent. So everybody's kind of figuring out what works best for them. And that is the approach. It's not about just simply replicating, right? So I see what other people do that seems to work for them, and I try to, learn from it and see definitely people that see a lot of success. Try to see if there's like versions of that maybe that I can implement, but I also understand there's not going to be a direct 1-by-1. It's never going to happen because it's a lot that has to go right that set that person or group of people up for success, and oftentimes those little nuances cannot be replicated. It can be copied. So you don't have that going for you, and therefore you can't necessarily just copy what they're doing and see a lot of success. And sometimes it's also just timing, right? What worked 3 years ago, excuse me, might not work today. So it differs, right? It differs from creator to creator, company to company, and I think people need to look at it more like that. Look at it like a market, right? Don't look at it like a fucking commie where it's like, well, everybody must get it and everybody must do it this way, or you therefore are in the wrong. It's not how it works. But look at comics, the way that they approach it versus how some others have. It's some people do they're very front facing, streaming and doing stuff like that. Others like Common America guys. Shout out to Doug and what he's doing with Soul Finder, and the other iconic comics, Mark, all those guys. Yeah, they're doing it, and it's like, yeah, they may pop in on a video or something, a stream or something, but it's not continuous. It's not every single day, and they make it work. They make it work, and they've exploded. They've absolutely exploded, it's something that is admirable, and I love to see that. I love to see other people doing their own thing and finding what plans work for them. I nerd out about that type of stuff, for sure, because you want to figure out like, okay, how does something like that work? You don't let it frustrate you by any means, but it's something to learn from, and it's inspiring. Absolutely inspiring. So yeah. We'll get some of these super chats real quick. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me, by the way. A little short stream, nothing crucial. Head case laboratory with a 10 months. Are you going to be added to the MegaCon website? Is Brandon in here? Carol's in here. Let hit Brandon up to hit up. I almost said his name. Because I don't know if he wants to know be in a know like that. But contact X person. Let's just call him that. That runs the show over there and see what's up. Defendo with a 38 months. Shout out. Luper's in the chat. What's up, homie? He says, hey, bro. How you doing? Garfield's Bizarre Venture with a 50. Keep moving forward and building your company. Let those who hate you and your audience see in the obscurity. Yeah. Appreciate the 50, homie. But yeah, obviously that's breaking on some layouts. I love to hear that. But yeah, that's obviously my goal. Let them hate. Appreciate that 50. That ain't cheap, by the way. I feel like I should be saying more, not just, hey, you just gave me $50. Thanks. Not how it works. But yeah, I will keep building a company that have a commitment to my customers, my fans of the Rippaverse, people that are rooting for us and want to see this company continue to grow. They are my focus. You guys heard me make that vow, if you will, last year, at the end of last year, where I was like, you know what? We're going to focus on the customers, and that's where my time is best suited, instead of being like as interactive as I have been in the past, right? We put monetize your haters, for example, on hiatus, and it's less about, well, I'll just say exactly why. Reason being is, as I was discussing just earlier, there's only so much time in a day, right? And, I've gotten to that point to where time is, it's money. And it's like, okay, if you are going to be interactive, yes, those may have been good for TV and good for your channel and shit like that. But if you are going to be interactive, excuse me, wouldn't it make more sense for your company's sake to be more interactive with your fans than the people that despise you? And that's a no-brainer, right? So while I do understand that that's not for everybody, there's a lot of people that are actually angry and aggravated, even that may have even been followers of mine. Frustrated because I'm not doing what I was doing, let's say in 2020, right? Or 2019, stuff like that. And while I understand, I think it's very, very important to realize that, man, we're living in a different era. Kind of started this multi-million-dollar business, and that's the focus. So yeah, man, you hear people chirping, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, while I do not myself engage in this tomfoolery, because that's exactly what it is. It's not conducive to where I want to take this company or what I want to do for this company. So I don't give it the time of day. Still appreciative of folks that are correcting the record, right? For sure. Because yeah, it's not about liking us or hating people that hate me. We're appreciative of those, because look, there's gonna be some wild stuff, and as we grow, it's gonna continue to be that way, because again, the more successful that we get, the more frustrated other folks get, because it's like, hey, I'm throwing all this stuff at them and it's not working, right? It's not impacting them the way that I wanted to. I said he was going to be out of business in 2024. Now they're going into 2025 with all of the success that they've seen, so it's not working. So that has a way of making them even more angry than what they were before. So instead of, like I say, engaging in the tomfoolery, I just go do my thing. But I am appreciative of those that are like, look, someone says something about the company that's just flat out false, right? And it's just not truthful. And okay, wait a minute, this is not true, this is why, and they may engage in a back and forth or whatever. So yeah, record correcting by those of you that are fans of the Rippaverse or just fans of me. I still appreciate y'all, make no mistake. It's just myself as an individual. It's just not, I focus on the fans, I focus on the company, I focus on building and growing. Shout out to you, Garfield's Bizarre Venture with a 50, because that ain't cheap. That ain't cheap. Demajani, what's up, big homie? Says, yo, bro, hope you had a great holiday hell chat. I believe I just saw you post not too long ago about you getting Horseman, man. Big shout out. Demajani's been a huge supporter of ours, man. Much love to you, man. Love to see it. And Jeremy, you bring up a great point. Jeremy in the chat. So personally, I don't think the lives will ever stop. I don't think it will. And I've talked about this before, going back to Garfield's thing. As you guys saw this play out, I think that people got it twisted and they found out the hard way. As you know, I've been dealing with foolishness for a while, and I learned this look from the music industry. Shout out ass there. Yeah, I know. But I am the inventor of sales and memberships after all. But I was telling people, like, you know, the reason why, for example, I choose to ignore the foolishness, it has nothing to do with thinking that that's going to stop, right? I was trying to tell people, and they thought that it was going to go another route, but you got to understand, like, there's a lot of incentive out there, right, for people to continue with the charade, and for some folks, it's all they have, so they have to keep being more and more outrageous and more stupid, even. Therefore, yeah, to Jeremy's point, and I've mentioned this publicly before, and I mentioned it even when I first made that vow. It's not going to stop. Don't think just because I'm ignoring people, like it's going to stop them from talking noise or lying about myself and the company. No, it's not. Again, the success has a way of actually amplifying it even more, because it's like, well, if what the stuff that was being thrown at us worked, right, and then we just faded off into obscurity, then they move on to the next target. But because the success just keeps going rolling in, it's almost motivation for them because they're aggravated, right? So yeah, don't think it's ever going to stop. And I think Jeremy, you nailed it. Like it's not. They do feed off of that, and it's not going to stop. It's never going to stop. And that's why I said, like, I'm not ignoring it with the like with it in mind that, oh well, if I just ignore it, it's all gonna everybody that hates Eric July is going to you know, everything's good that Eric July has going is just gonna, like, I don't know. I guess the haters is just gonna stop hating. Like, nah, bro. That's not how this works. Again, I've understood that from the music industry. I've long learned that, and I think people now saw it play out and it's like, oh yeah, these guys ain't gonna. It's not gonna stop. It's not gonna ever stop. It's just how it works. That's why I said this move has everything to do with the company and everything to do with the fans. It has nothing to do with trying to stop clowns from acting like clowns. It's just never gonna. That's never gonna stop. That will be that for the rest of my career. It's always gonna be a thing. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to remain the most scrutinized man, and we're going to remain the most scrutinized company in independent comics. And you're going to have those that are going to latch on to that and try to destroy. I mean, you had one homie said he literally wanted to burn down the company, right? Like he wanted to see it burn. So it's like when someone's that spiteful and that driven by just hatred, and sure, it isn't an eternal problem. You can't ignore that stuff away. You know, that's a person that has their own thing going on, and you're always going to deal with it. So again, if you are aspiring to be a creator, you can look at myself and what we've dealt with and understand what to anticipate, because at the end of the day, I said this before, you're not going to get it much worse than I do. And if I can deal with it, right? And yeah, I'm built for it. I've been there, done that. Like I said, there's nothing that I'm necessarily experiencing here that I didn't experience in like music, right? So I've been there, done that, and hell, and definitely when I was growing up, when I was like, latter half of my teenage years, where it was, it was like when people threaten you, it was legit. You know what I mean? Like you could perform at a show, and there's probably gonna be some cats waiting outside of the bit. So it was a physical aspect to it, way back then. So if I could get through all of that, then just me having a couple of guys that may despise me and talk about it every day, that's gonna happen. It's anticipated. So we move. We don't worry about that. I use my energy to focus on building this company, growing this company, and my fans, the ones that make this stuff happen. That's the move. And it was always the move. It's like my man's ass said right here. It said, never argue with an idiot. They will drag you down to their level, then beat you with experience. Yep. It's the pigeon shitting on the chessboard. You know, you can't stop them though. Like I said, I don't want people to, because you do get those that aren't necessarily built for that, right? That inevitable wave of hatred that you're gonna get it anytime you see any success, especially in this day and age. And they don't prepare themselves, or I've unfortunately seen some people that have decided to stop pursuing their like dream as an artist or a creator, right? We've dealt with that even with our own fan art contest, where people just fall off the face of the earth because they just don't want to deal with the craziness that people are going to be slinging their way. And that sucks from the industry perspective, because it's like that's not a trait of an industry. Like we're talking about industry wide thing. You're not welcoming of newcomers, right? You're not welcoming of people that just want to be here. And I'm not saying welcoming as in like having people poison the well. No, no, no. I'm saying welcoming from people that show genuine interest as either a creator or a fan, right? And you want to necessarily like you're, I guess, bad behavior. Let's just call it that. It doesn't really make it welcoming for those types. So you can't expect an industry to grow with that attitude, or it's going to be very, very difficult, right? So while that part of it sucks, at the end of the day, like I've said, you're not going to see a lot more people like more scrutinized than I am. You're not going to see a lot of folks that are more dealt with a lot more craziness than I have, at least from that end of it. So this is the worst that they'll get. So you might as well just give it a shot. Fuck them. Fuck them. Like, just go do your thing, go grind, go be great, and your fans will catch you. You'll be fine. Maybe weird to deal with if you've never dealt with. Like, damn, why I've not done anything to anybody? Why do these? It's like the Boondocks episode. What did he do to make these niggas that mad? Like that's what you're gonna be thinking, and it's not gonna be any fault of your own. It's just gonna be how it is. But you don't let that deter you from going to be great. Definitely, if God has some plan for you, you just need to go be great. You need to actually put in the work. Don't not put in the work because you fear that there's going to be folks saying bad things about you. It's inevitable. Expect it. Brace for it even. But don't let it deter you from giving it a shot. You know what I'm saying? Bakanawa with the 8 months. Hey, yo, any statue news? Thank you again. Well, I mean, we're still on schedule. We're still on schedule for both Yaira as well as the Isom statue. So we'll keep you guys posted, but we're still on schedule. Joker Disciple with a 10. All those Horseman CGCs look great, but man, that cover C was mounted on my wall. Yo, is it true no 9.9s or 10s came in? Also, you or maybe Mikey B working on an SSWL book, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Let us cook. But as far as CGCs, yeah, this was an interesting grade group, and some are going to happen like that, right? I said when we first put these out, like, look, 10s and 9.9s, and don't expect that all the time. Like, that's just not, I mean, you can take a book from the printer and give it right to them, and you're not going to get a 10 oftentimes. So, yeah, this one I don't know the exact number. I don't know if a 9.9 or a 10. I don't know. That's a question more so for Brandon. But yeah, sometimes it is going to happen that way. It's going to happen that way sometimes. But as far as the SSWL, We'll see. We shall see. My man's Bruce said, ignoring all the noise has been the best course of action and is paying dividends as time passes for sure. I mean, it pays in the time allotted. Like instead of sitting there twiddling my thumbs or spending 5 hours, going back and forth with, it's not a good use of my time as the owner of a company, right? My business to run, tight ship at that, right? Yeah, you see all the millions coming in, but those millions don't keep coming in if you're sitting with a thumb up your ass, right? You gotta deliver. You have to deliver. So there's a lot of work that has to be done every day, day in, day out. So yeah, you're seeing us get more productive, and a lot of that has to do with the owner of the company being a productive person and putting forth the effort. And you see it in more ways than one, right? My employees see how hard I work, right? And I think any owner that also kind of is showing their employees definitely that they would never ask of them something that they themselves won't do or don't already do, you get a lot out of that person, right? These guys know I'll pack the motherfucker out of some orders, and I'll pack them for 10 to 11, 12 hours at a time. It ain't nothing to me. They see me do it, especially the ice someone. I did all of them shits alongside Brandon, my wife coming in, helping. We had Alex and Carol and all of them come in for a little bit for a couple of days, right? But for the most part, it was me, Brandon, and my warehouse manager at the time. We packed all them fucking orders. So they saw me do that. And then each book came out, I was still packing orders. It wasn't until recently, even, I'm saying very recent. I'm talking about the last couple of collections where it's like I'm not required to be there. So they see that, and right, instead of my time being used, again, digging around, is being used to be efficient, and they see that as well. They pick up on that, and I work 7 days. There's not a day, a holiday is not a day that I do not work. Now, some days, right, like Thanksgiving, is a holiday, and I got to make my runs. Making my rounds, but I worked in the morning early, and then I went and did that. So there's some days where I'm spending more time, obviously, because I need to allot some time to do X, Y, and Z, family stuff, or whatever's coming up. But I work every single day, and they see that. So that assists in, I guess, the employee morale as well. So it pays in more ways than one to just focus up, really, is what you're doing. You're just focusing up. Pays a lot. It pays a lot in more ways than one, man. It really does. Demajana, what's up with a 5 I've never understood clocking what's in someone else's wallet, the amount of energy spent worrying about someone else, they be more successful. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like if you're a creator, absolutely, or you call yourself one for sure. Look, there's some people like that's their hobby, right? Their hobby is commentary, right? I kind of went through my window where, I was still creating music, but I did a lot of commentary stuff. So, you're talking more than doing. And that's just kind of the nature of the business. Oh, excuse me, bitness. Everybody type bitness in the chat. That's just the nature of the business. Yeah, it's not the best use of your time, especially if you are in that said industry, to be talking about other people all the time, like spending them. It's one thing I chime in, here's a comment or two, but if you're spending hours upon hours upon hours doing it, that is wasted energy. That's wasted energy. You're not putting it into your own stuff, right? And it shows, right? It really does. So yeah, I don't get it either. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've gone through life in which I've been a workhorse my entire life, and those pockets where I was most creative, I just don't understand how someone could even possibly have time, because they don't, to be worried about what everybody else is doing, because there's so much that you need to be doing yourself if you are creating. So whether it was with the band or something of that nature, right? Where there was one running being libertarian at the time, where it was again, where there's Rippaverse. It's like understanding that when in my times of when I was most productive, I don't have the time to be doing that shit. So I know others don't got the time to be doing it. And when I'm saying don't have the time, I'm meaning something else is not getting done. You're not being a productive person if you are, to Demontanized point, worried about what everybody else is doing all the time. And that's where most of your time is being spent. If you're a commentator, great. Maybe, yeah, you can probably get a little money for that. But if you're not like a business owner, business owner, you're not operating as a efficient business owner, productive business owner, or responsible business owner when you do stuff like that. So yeah, it's just not a great use of your time. Last time I was here, the Rippaverse was booming. It's coming from Steph. Here now, the Rippaverse is booming. Some things never change. Hashtag long live the Rippaverse. Yeah, man. It's great. We've had so far, and we'll see how this month goes. Our most successful year financially. So it's great. We want to keep up that momentum going into the next year. Release schedule speeds up, more specialty items, cooler stuff. Got our new membership stuff that we're going to do, forums, all that good stuff. It's just really, really an exciting time. Got to invest your time like money wisely, says Sir All Gold. They're one and the same, right? Time is money, right? So if you're spending time doing other stuff, you're not spending time doing what you should be doing as again, business owning. And that was one of the things that I've realized. And it just shows in the results. And what I mean by that is when I'm or when I have been in the past, my most success, or I've seen my most success is when I have been a workhorse, right? And I have been creative. I've been rewarded each time that I've done that. So yeah, time is money, baby. It's money. It really is. They're one and the same. But I love being in this position. Like I said, a lot of things have changed. There's a dynamic shift, right? Because you do have people that may have learned about me when I was like doing heavy commentary, right? When I was like streaming each and every single day. Literally put out 3 videos a day and streaming. But yeah, those days are behind us, man. It's just not. I couldn't possibly do that even if I wanted to. But the thing is, I don't want to. I mean, I get to get, we have great group batch of employees, so I'm getting a lot of fulfillment in just the creative process alone, but also the fact that we're able to employ people in comics and we're able to give people good paying jobs. I take a lot of pride in that. Maybe pride's not the right word, but I do love that. And like I said, I get a lot of fulfillment in that. And I take that part very, very serious, right? That we're employing people, we're giving people good jobs. So there's a lot on the line right there. It's not just, hey, Eric July is doing thing, making money. It's the company is, and therefore its employees are, its contractors are. And I love it. And catch your stuff super far back, starting with the monetize your hater segments and laugh my ass off. Yeah, those were the fun times while they lasted, right? It's just time's just not gonna permit that anymore. It's just not a good use for it. So big shout out. See Matt Lawrence in the chat. What's up, Matt? All the mods as well. Saw Sheep here, Jan, Sylvia here. We got Andrews here. Unemployed. Saw Jordan here earlier with Az here as well. So big shout out. But yeah, those are good times. It's just I got too much stuff to do now. So that's what we focus on, baby. Focus on growth. All right. Real quick, I'd like to talk about some things have been very, very interesting, man. With this whole Avowed situation. I like to just set the scene if you don't mind. So we covered what's his name, Matt Hansen. We did on ripping a silverback and some of the things that he had been saying, like for example, with the Elon Musk, basically saying that he wanted to, spite him and his types. But it's not just about doing that at the individual level. What he wants to do is at the game, right? So he's saying, "Hey, you haven't seen anything else." He's talking about the game and utilizing, he's a contractor, right, or employee. I don't know for the company, and he's wanting to, as the art director, use that to get at his ideological enemies, which is crazy to me. It's crazy. But now, because people are putting some eyes on it, you have guys like Jonathan Trent over at Phantom Pulse now, covering some of these older material, right? Like what's happening right here at Blue Sky. And this is the thing that I don't think when you do video games, man, you were appealing to, I don't know how that culture changed that much to where people think that the only folks that, I don't know, are into this culture or into this hobby are folks that agree with them politically, which is insane to me. But then I guess the hive mind was that bad because Matt here, for example, again, you're art director for a big game that is coming out for a big studio, AA, AAA studio. They need to feel the sting. This is what he says, and this is during the election, essentially. They need to feel the sting of shame for the rest of their putrid lives, to be honest. And that is me being nice. He's referring to all Trump supporters. So this is that energy, kind of that same energy, right? So it's worded a little differently than what Rachel Zegler said, though she came back and apologized, where she basically hoped that I can't remember what the actual statement was, but it was along the lines of that she hopes they have miserable lives, essentially. May they never find peace. That's what she said. May they never find peace. Something of that nature. Same energy, right? Same exact energy. Just say it a little differently. Now, you may be wondering, okay, man, look, it sounds like it's game. We just had this conversation with Dragon Age, right? Yes, we did. And I know it sounds like a repeat, but for a couple of different reasons, mainly because of just how long it takes to develop these games, you're going to get a lot more of that. But I also don't think that even with the more recent things that they've done, right? And sure, maybe marketing schemes and plans are come up with maybe a year and some change ago before we actually start to see it be rolled out. But even with some of the more recent stuff, like what's going on with Jaguar, the same thing. Well, they do something doesn't make any sense, trying to appeal to a bunch of weirdos who probably aren't your target demographic. Well, in this case, maybe there are some weirdos that will play Avowed, perhaps, for sure. I'd imagine. But there's also people that you just told should be shame or should feel the sting of shame for the rest of their future lives, which is crazy. Now, maybe it is lack of economic understanding because maybe they don't understand because, well, it is that mega corporate setup. It's not like these guys. Maybe there's a bonus structure factored in, but for the most part, they don't feel the sting, right? They get their money regardless. They're contracted, right? We needed you to do this on this game. You're going to get your money regardless. Nothing else that has to do with that. Nothing interferes with that. So if the project bomb, you still got paid, right? So maybe they don't feel it. So maybe it is that lack of understanding. Like, hey, Trump supporters buy games too, right? Seems like everybody doesn't understand it. Only Michael Jordan understood it with sneakers. Republicans buy sneakers too. That's what he said. All right. So to insult them or wish bad upon them, which is what you're doing right now, is insane. But I think you're going to get more of that. You saw it with Jaguar. You're going to see more of it. You're going to see it every year. You're going to see it as the years pass, I think it might make it worse. I think that's going to be the kickback. These people are going to be very, very spiteful after losing the election. And so you're going to see people that are part of games that you enjoy, that you loved, that are going to also be voicing the fact that they hate you. Let them suffer. That's their own doing, right? And I'm not sure that even after that failure, because of, again, that disconnect between them and the audience, I don't think that they're going to recover from it. But let's talk about this. Fuck a $5 donation. From Kevin. No idea who this guy is, but it's $500 that got dropped in. And I'm looking at it, guys, it has not been redacted. There's just no message there. So you can imagine that, right? At the saloon before, there was another cocky son of a bitch that rolled through, right? I told you guys the story. Well, here we have another one that comes through. And he says nothing. But he did walk through those double doors of that same saloon, which is, it's starting to get very dangerous at this saloon. Because it's already at the most dangerous part of the West anyway. So now you got really obscure, you have really dangerous, capable looking people that are walking through. Because the word, I guess, maybe is getting around. And so we got Kevin who comes through. You know, usually you walk through double doors, you use your hand to push the double doors open, right? No, not this guy. His hands was in his pockets. And he just walked through, right? Didn't push it open, just walked right through. Unfazed, with his hands in his pocket through the double doors. Music, lady in the back playing the piano, bartender's doing one of these. So she's forced to stop. And now everybody's looking to the front at this mysterious guy looking straight, faced, all full bearded man in a top hat and a bow tie. Bolo. Actually, it wasn't a bow tie. Excuse me. Misassessed that. It's a bolo. And he's looking straight ahead. And everybody's now looking at him, whole entire saloon. Bartender, guys sweeping the floors, guys that were drinking at the actual bar, sitting at the table. Everybody's done put out their cigars, right? They're just looking at this guy. Like, who is, but would nobody dare ask the question because they don't know anything about him. He's too mysterious and they don't want to risk it. So everybody's just looking at this guy standing after walking through the saloon double doors, who's just looking straight ahead. Or so we think, or so we thought. Because it's actually not looking straight ahead. That's not what he's doing. What he's looking at is that poker table in the back. Right next to the chick, right, playing the piano. That's what he's looking. That's what he's got his eyes set on. For some reason. Hand still in his pocket. Keep in mind, he also has a long coat on. Top hat, long coat, full beard. Hands has not left this man's pocket since he walked in. He only stood in the front for a little bit. Starts making his way over to the poker table, walking in stride, consistent stride, confidence. And everybody's head is just following this guy. Like, by the time he gets to the actual poker table, few other guys that look cocky, but even they gotta respect this man. Because they're looking up at him. The dealer, he's sweating bullets right now. And then Kevin, with his right hand, and one swift, efficient motion, pulls out $500. And again, there's no wasted energy. Left hand still in the pocket. Reaches down, gets momentum going up, reaches the peak, and absolutely slams the table with the $500. Chips the fucking table. There was wood as his impact hits the table, wood splinters flying all over the place. And he looked everybody at that poker table in the eyes, one by one. Didn't say anything, one by one, just looking at him. And then he turns around. Hand goes back in the pocket. Straight ahead. Walked right out of that saloon. At no point in time did he ever utter shit. And you know what? Just like me, everybody has to respect that. There's no other way. How can you not respect that? Kevin, I appreciate that $500 and now message. Holy shit. Unbelievable, this guy. Unfucking believable. $500. Didn't say there's nothing there, guys. There's nothing there. There's not a word uttered in this message. Only thing I see is everybody else commenting. That's similar to what happened to the saloon. Only nobody else spoke either. Because who wants to speak when a guy that cocky walks in? Nobody, you don't know what to say. I gotta give a big shout out to Kevin for the $500 donation and no message. Jesus. Unbelievable. I mean, wow. What a cocky son of a bitch, man. Really. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I got one other thing I want to talk about, though. Again, shout out to Kevin for that $500. But there's one other thing that I want to talk about. And I also wanted to maybe it's a question for the audience. Because I don't know if you heard there have been rumors, and some of that seems to have been at least confirmed in some way. Because at first it came from an insider, and there's been photos hopping around that Captain America: Brave New World, which is a retitle, by the way, is now about to enter or has already entered its fourth round of reshoots. So I don't know what the plan is here, but I can only imagine that this isn't a play for now. I don't think they're under any impression that this movie is going to make money, right? I don't think that's how they're seeing it at all, actually. Right? I don't think that they anticipate this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar film. I don't think that they're that crazy. Sure, maybe they are. I don't know, but I don't think that that's the case. I think this is more of a play for the future. Everybody knows how I feel about Captain Sam Wilson's Captain America. Wasn't a fan when it happened in the comics. Not a fan of it now. But that's neither here nor there. I think it's worth talking about economically because I don't know if we'll ever know the final number of what this is going to cost, but it has to be somewhere near $500 million plus. Okay, if they're continuing reshoot, because they're not going to just reshoot it for free. Okay, so the way that I see it is they're playing the long game in that they're doing something to this film that's going to make the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is what they're thinking. I'm not saying that they're going to pull this off because I don't know, but I think the way that they're approaching it is that we need to somehow make this intriguing, not the movie itself intriguing enough, but have it have something that can make our universe intriguing again. So people will be excited for the future. So they're cutting their losses, right? That's the only reason why you keep reshooting this. So it's like, well, that I can see. And not everything happens in entertainment is supposed to make sense, or it does make sense. Maybe they see it in a different way than I do. And look, is there perhaps, can I leave that slight, maybe 5% chance that they are really reshooting it with it in mind? There's going to be a multi-billion-dollar film. I think they're crazy, but maybe there is someone that views it that way. I personally think that the what makes the most sense, and I love to know what you guys think. If you're watching this after the fact, or you're in the chat right now watching us live, why on earth would they be reshooting this for the fourth time? Other than they're adding people to it, they're adding things to the actual movie that will at least be some sort of nugget, and there'll probably be some member berries that are in there. It's some sort of nugget, right? That is going to get people stoked on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not for what that movie is, but for what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that that's going to be the worst. I think economically, yeah, that's you're stretching it. But if you're just like, okay, look, the movie is the movie, the characters are the characters, the supporting cast is a supporting cast, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, maybe if they could afford to just lay a dud, they just say, put it out. Okay, if people like it, they like it. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Or it can be for that matter, because Marvel's not in that spot that it was years past where they could crap out $1 billion film. They've shown you that they'll lose some money on Disney Plus stuff. I don't know if Disney Plus is even profitable yet. So they lose money on anything they sink in that. And some of the other movies that we've seen have not got the return desired. Some have lost millions of dollars. I mean, on an upward of almost $500 million, close, 300 to 500 million, right? It sounds like, as far as the Marvels was concerned. So they can't just say, here's $1 billion film, go watch it, right? Or here's a film, go watch it and give us $1 billion, or we're going to make $1 billion out of it. I don't think I think they're at least mindful of that. So the movie that they're making is just it's a playing the long game. How can we make this movie have something that's interesting enough for people to be excited for the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward? What that is it Chris Evans returning? Is it I don't know what that's going to be. I'm not going to say I know what that's going to be. I have no idea. But that has to be the play, right? Because if it's not the play, then you're just risking you're just trying to make it individually isolated by itself the best movie that you possibly can. Even if it's a home run, it's very unlikely that this gets a return because of the fact that you keep spending more money with these reshoots. I don't know. We'll see. I really don't know. I don't know what the play is. I just thought that was interesting when I saw it. I was like, man, even the third one was nuts, but to enter into a fourth reshoot is crazy. Chloe said, I don't believe they have a plan. It's very likely that that's the case. I don't know. Because I'm also trying to be fair to them, because it's like, what else can you do? What, are those not your two options? You either lose all this money, right? Just put it out, take the L, right? Or is it like, but even then, it's like, is that an L worth taking? Because with each thing that you put out, it's like, is it also going to create less intrigue for your Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Because you got other stuff that's coming down the pipeline that you're already paying for, you're already investing in, right? So is that, going to spell good for the Fantastic Four or whatever? I don't know, right? So that's the risk that you take, but it has to be something that they're doing. Hey, come shoot this. We're going to introduce the Marvels or something, like, as far as, excuse me, the mutants, right? Something. They're doing something that may not save the film itself, but it can at least get them some intrigue with the actual universe. That's the only thing that I could think, if they have a plan, that's what that is, for why this is going to enter its fourth reshoot. Because in any other context, you'd be like, that's crazy. Even if you're going to put out a film that's bad, as in the audience may not be responsive to it, taking losses. I don't know. I really don't know what the play is. That's Zach with a 5 says, howdy, y'all. Shout out. As Larry says, Captain America just released it. Says, let it go. Where is the money going? Just should have left it at the TV series. Yeah, I don't. Look, a lot of this stuff takes years, man. They're planning this stuff out, and then they're probably very, very committed to it. So it's very difficult for them to pivot from that anyway. But yeah, I never thought that Sam Wilson's Captain America was going to be a smart move anyway. It didn't really land in the comics either. It happened, right? For sure. But I was covering all that stuff. I was doing all new, all different, and beyond. It's like, this is a terrible idea. It should have never made it a screen. But you also have to understand, like, I guess it's easy for them to get cocky, because there was a point where Marvel, they had a hot streak, right? There was a point where Marvel could just shit out $800 to $1 billion each film, like it was going out of style. And maybe that was the line of thinking. It's like, we can do anything and they're going to gobble it up. And then you can see just how quickly things can change. Sure, there's a pocket where that happens, but it's you still have to offer something that, and I think, yeah, a lot of that, the push to have these diverse heroes that nobody cared about, right? You weren't even getting the black characters that people were intrigued by. You were just getting the knockoffs. You didn't even have the sense to recast T'Challa. It was about Shuri. It's about Ironheart. It's about She-Hulk. It's about the tokenized version of each character, not the character. Sam Woods is Captain Falcon, American Man. Kate Bishop, right? It was a tokenization. It was literally all new, all different was the era that they were moving into, trying to replicate it on screen. That was all they did. And maybe it was a combination of Jane Foster Story. How can I forget? She led the charge down to all different stuff. Granted, it doesn't seem like they're going to stick with her, right, going forward, considering what happened in the movie. But you get what I'm saying. It was, hey, we can have knockoff versions of the characters that everybody already knows and love, and they were going to see some success with that. And it just didn't land. It just really did. It didn't land. And that's a tough position to be in because the stuff takes years to develop. You've got plans. You've already announced movies, like stuff like that. It's like, yeah, Taskmaster. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was the move for sure, and it was a testament of the times as well, because I mean everybody wanted to start to get invested in this. All the creators across the board in the industry really wanted to get it invested in a lot of the hyper focus of not making it fun, not making it for a specific audience that it actually is identifiable. It exists. It was about checking boxes, and it showed. It's just it doesn't work. It just didn't work. That's the bottom line. It just didn't work. And sure, I guess in retrospect, I mean, I said it when it happened, but I guess in retrospect, anybody can say, well, yeah, that was never going to work. Have you watched Blue Eye Samurai? No. Shout out Larry, by the way. No. But yeah, I think Falcon should have stayed Falcon. Should have tried to create intriguing stories surrounding the characters that already existed. Even if you wanted to, like, okay, I don't want everything to be this massive team up. I do think there's a lot of material that has already been written for you. Hollywood, just read some comic books of different storylines that you can tell of each character that was already prominent in your universe, whether it was Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor. And sure, you can have a supporting cast of maybe lesser known characters. But yeah, I think the heavy investment into whatever this is, it just didn't land. It just didn't land. I don't think you don't need to be a Marvel hater to realize that. You know, I think anybody kind of gets it. It's unfortunate though, right? Because I mean, you think, oh man, they were printing money before. I mean, anything they do should be printing money, and it's just like, no, you still got to be calculating. I guess that's again what I get intrigued the most by. It's not the stuff like the actual, even the I guess the stories individually anymore. Like, right, I'm pretty open about that. Like, it's like whatever with me, but it's a business at the end of the day. So these are all business decisions, and as a business owner myself, I'm very intrigued by that move, and I can't quite understand it. Maybe it's not for me to understand, and there's other things that are at play. You know, not for me to get it. I think that's maybe what we're dealing with. It's not for you to get it. So I just don't I don't understand what the hell is going on anymore with the mainstream. And whereas I used to be frustrated, as a fan, um, I still have all my comic books. Those are not going anywhere. I have the likes. It's funny. You get people that wrongfully say stupid shit, like even about my channel, right? And they'll be like, well, you built your channel on hating so and so. It's like, you've never watched this, have you? Don't even take my word for anything. Most movie reviews that I have given, right, when I used to do those day in, day out, were positive, whether about any comic book movie. I always tried to find the good with the bad, right? There was some stuff that was indefensible for sure, right? Even then, I tried to defend aspects of it, like the casting here, for example, with the New Mutants. Right, I thought that movie was fucking awful, and I'm not saying it's awful from a just purely content wise. Like these were bastardizations of basically each character, all but one. Right, gave a generally positive review to Shazam. Captain Marvel did give a good one for that, but all the other movies I gave positive reviews on for the most part. I think those were the only ones that I can think that I gave negative reviews to were Captain Marvel and New Mutants. Everything else, I for the most part that I reviewed. It's not to say that I reviewed every single Marvel Cinematic. I got close. Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, but all of the other ones I gave positive reviews. Right? Yeah, even Jordan could say, even when people weren't, she brought up a great point. Talk about Batwoman. I was far more positive about Batwoman than most people were initially, till it got indefensible. But I was giving it, I was giving it the time of day, right? So anybody that watching my channel knows that it's all Eric July Brothers channel hating. No. You're wrong. Objectively speaking, those videos are still up and they are still they're still public. Yes, I had give negative reviews of certain things, but most of my reviews pertaining to comic book material, movies were positive. Right? Justice League, all that stuff. It was generally positive reviews, even when it was unpopular to do such a thing. So yeah, it's but yeah, the thing that changed obviously is that I stopped worrying so much about what other people were doing. Again, not a commentator anymore, and crossed into like creating, and now it's like this only intrigues me now just from the financial and the economic stuff, because it's like it is my industry, it is comic book industry, right? And it can be a lesson, right? So you keep you keep your hand on the pulse, but I'm not going to sit up here and spend 5 hours editing a review anymore. Hell, 5 hours, a full day, excuse me, editing a review anymore. Those days are done. Or getting all jacked up and pissed off, like, nah, those days are done. After with a 5 for Joker Disciple, he says after Captain Falcon America defeats Red Hulk, he's gonna say, "You got to do better, President." Perhaps, maybe he will. I keep showing your old content, just giving comic book reviews. Yeah, like a lot of my old even comic stuff. Yeah. Obviously, I had my issues with Captain Marvel and some of the other stuff, but Jen and Sylvia are here because I love Black Widow. I said positive things about Donny Cates' store. I think that was that last review was. I think that might have been the last review that I did was a positive review by the way, and it was of uh I think Donny Cates' store. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Donny Cates' store. But yeah, a lot of those were positive. Yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Black Panther, not so much. Tinian had great things to say about Tinian and anything he did. Detective Comics, some of the greatest, best stuff out. Justice League Odyssey, Base Justice League, even. I even had positive to say about Tom King's Batman initially. Heroes in Crisis, not so much. So yeah, there's some sprinkled in duds, right? Where I'm like, all right, I can't defend this. This is terrible. And again, it's not like I never was approaching for, these are the rules of storytelling. And I never approached it that way. It was always, okay, you are having character do said thing. This is stupid because that is so out of pocket and so out of character. And it shows that you fundamentally do not understand why this character is the way that they are. I was always approaching it from a lore perspective and what I got out of it that way. You know? So yeah. Heather Lord says, yeah, Thor 1 through 5. So yeah, it was. It was a positive. My last review that I did was a positive one. Yeah, but Mike in the chat. See if Sasuke's talking to him. I don't see him though. Let me scroll up. Did I miss Mike? Yeah, he's right there. What up? Shout out. Dad builds with a interesting question. Says advice for someone wanting to change their career, stuck in a job. Stuck in a job I don't enjoy. Have got into editing and creation, but don't know a way out of where I am. Hope that's okay to ask. Well, this is an interesting question, but I will answer it. I think it's something worth answering. So a job is a job at the end of the day, right? There's going to be, even if you do what you love, there's going to be tedious aspects of it. And I don't want anybody to trick themselves into thinking that, you're just going to be able to just have a blast with every single aspect of something that you get paid to do. It doesn't work that way. I love what I do. And there's always going to be some time where I'm like, yeah, I'd much rather be doing something else, but this is what's required. But generally speaking, I love what I do. But yeah, it's an interesting thing because everybody's different, because what interests you may not be lucrative. Right? I tell this about tell my niece. Shout out to my niece. I brought this up. It's like even about her, for example. She's in college. Playing soccer. Right? So good soccer player. Can use that to subsidize something else. Right? Getting on a scholarship, and that'll subsidize another venture. Right? And the reason why I'd approach it that way is like, yeah, sure, you might want to be a creative, but if you can finesse your way into like, not, all right, let me say this: 99% of college degrees are fucking worthless, especially in this day and age. That said, though, if you can finesse yourself into something that is STEM related, right, that does have a definite return, right, then do that, because you're not even paying for it, because the scholarship's paying for it. So they're getting it through fucking boosters and ticket sales and shit through the athletic department or whatever. So the reason being is, and even if that and I say that because that maybe not be something that you want to do ultimately, but it is going to be lucrative for you. So maybe that can end up subsidizing your what you really, really want to do. But you got to be smart about it, right? I was I went to school for generally economics and communication. Economic stuff wasn't so much utilizing communication, perhaps, yes. But IT, getting knowledgeable in IT was obviously one of the best decisions that I had made, because I made a lot of money, and that money turned into other stuff, for sure. So, and it's not to say, yeah, do I want to be troubleshooting servers and shit all the time? Probably not. But hey, it paid the bills. So with anything that you do, right, there's going to be that aspect of it, and you have to personally analyze, like, am I doing something that I love, or is what I love a lucrative one? And if it's not, then you need to be realistic with it and just do it on the side as a hobby. Do it on the side as a hobby. Okay. Be real with yourself. If it's not lucrative, it's not lucrative. It's a job at the end of the day. But you can try to find some sense of enjoyment from it. And you can still, so maybe it's something like, I don't like 50% of it, but 50% of it I like, and I get something out of it for this reason. Cool. Go do that. But you have to be real with yourself. And anybody that, because for sure, ideally you're going to be working in some sort of field that you at least are somewhat interested in, because that'll make the work feel less like work. So I know you're asking me more so from advice, but only you can really answer that question. And what I mean by that is finding what's lucrative may be different from what you thoroughly enjoy. So you're going to have to find what you thoroughly enjoy and apply that to something that is lucrative, right? um because not everybody's going to be meant to, hey, I like to do X thing. Well, that thing, there might not be that big of a market for that, right? And you have to be real with yourself. Like, definitely people that want to do creative stuff, I tell people that all the time, like, hey, I want to be I like making music, I want to be a touring musician, and I want to do, like, bro, your chances of making it big is you got 99% failure rate amongst most people that are playing music professionally. No, it's probably not going to happen. Sports, same thing. probably not going to ever happen. You're not going to be a professional basketball player. You're not going to be a professional football player. It's probably not happening. And you have to be real with yourself. So just find something that you can find some enjoyment, at least with some aspect of that industry that you're in. That's going to be your key, right? But it is still going to take a lot of work, and maybe that does require you learning new skills. Like I said, I didn't necessarily, it's funny, somehow worked my way back, right, to what my father was doing, which was IT, right? And I went out that I never went into it thinking that I was ever going to be in working in networking. And even I didn't even start. Even when I was working in tech, I didn't start working networking. I started in desktop support. And then that changed into networking, right? Because I got a promotions, right? So, but getting all this, fucking certifications and shit, this is something anybody can fucking do. Network Plus and fucking all this other shit. Everybody, anybody can do that, right? So it's like you may be required. Bringing that up to say that you may be required to learn a new skill, right? So whatever it is, right? And maybe it's not something that you ever thought you were going to be doing, but maybe, okay, I like interacting with people. This part of the job, this is a lucrative industry. I can, and if I feel in this position, right, I can at least find some enjoyment out of that. But not everything that you want to do is going to be what you need to do. It's just a harsh reality, but everybody needs to understand it. Because it's different for every single person. Shout out Dad Builds. Look, I know that it's hard to give a direct answer because it's not universal. Everybody's different. So it is a lot of, like, as cliche as it might sound, it's going to come from within for sure. But you got to be not afraid to work. I think one of the skill set for sure with me that got instilled in me very early on when I was young, that benefited me the most for sure was work ethic. Because everybody else, a lot of people with what they do, it's just a means to an end. I'm not working above 40 hours on any given week. It's just something for me to make money, and I'm going to go back and do whatever. I never approached my work ethic like that. So the reason, and I'm not saying meaning that all of my time needed to go to say a job, right? Now all of my time for the most part goes to a job, but and it's mine, right? It's just the one I own, the company I own. But before it was like, okay, it wasn't anything for me to be working like 60 hours a week, right? And then even when I needed something else to do, right? I got my 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and then I go do something else or go work. And then after that, I try to squeeze in doing something else. Most people ain't fucking gonna do that because it requires a lot of fucking work, right? You're gonna be uncomfortable. You're gonna be tired and sleepy sometimes. I didn't give a fuck about any of that. I just work. I can honestly say that I'm in a position that I am in because I fucking outworked a lot of people doing what I did. Even when I first got my first break into IT, right? Which actually started for me being a general manager of a fucking gym, right? And I noticed that, and this is a true story, right? I don't know if I've ever told this publicly. My first introduction into like actually being able to put information technology on my resume was for me being a GM in the gym industry, right? Natural crossover, right? I was a former collegiate athlete. And realizing that my franchise owners, right? Because a lot of the gyms, even the ones that you guys see, like the are franchised on, right? My franchise owners owned in South Texas, as well as there was some out on the East Coast, but particularly in South Texas, several of the gyms that I worked for. Okay. I realized that these motherfuckers, they had zero true information technology department whatsoever. It was, if something went down, they just figured it out. And so it was me saying, hey, going to my franchise owners, saying, hey, you guys need this. I could help. And they were like, you know what, Eric, you got a point there. And one of the first things that I did, right, was I went to all of the gyms, particularly in all the South Texas ones, and I was installing all this bullshit, right, to try to give us some semblance of being able to keep up with what people were doing on their units, right? And also making it easy for me, namely, to remote in and fix shit. And that was my first introduction. I didn't come in with that in mind that I was going to do that. It just naturally occurred, right? And I did it, right? It obviously required me to manage my own gym, and then I was basically running IT for a bit of time for this franchise, right? So I was working a lot of hours, is what I'm trying to say. But that ended up turning into some other shit, right? And then I went to straight desktop support for $1 billion company. Now I went to networking for that $1 billion company, right? It works. But also, like, it was me just being obviously forward thinking, taking advantage of the opportunities that came about, and also outworking pretty much anybody that could call themselves a coworker of mine. And that got instilled in me when I was young. It wasn't anything for me to work overtime. Wasn't anything for me to just outwork people. And it wasn't. And again, it wasn't always about outworking people. I say this even for what I do for my company right now. Most people, 99% of people aren't going to do that. You're not going to work 7 days a week. Everybody wants to fucking time off. I need to spend time doing this. I don't believe in any of that shit. I'm like, bro, I'm healthy right now. And I'm not going to be healthy and young my entire life. If there is a time that I need to be working my ass off, it's right now while I still got the energy to do it. That's been my philosophy. And against the better, but some people like, why don't you kick back? Eric, when you go on vacation? What the fuck is a vacation? I go on vacations all young. Mama couldn't afford that. What the fuck is a vacation? The fuck? That word was foreign to me up until I was in college. The fuck is people go on those? I thought that was just shit people did on TV. The fuck? But anyway, that's been my philosophy forever, right? It's like, oh, fucking, I ain't nothing for me to work all the damn time, right? Just make sure you spend time with people that matter, right? And take time to do that. For sure, absolutely. But when I'm not doing that, I'm working. And I'm reaping the benefits from that, right? From that hard work. So even with my company, right? Like, it's not like, I've said this, you've heard me say this a million times, right? That now I'm working harder than I ever have in my entire life. So despite all that stuff that I was just telling y'all, I'm still not working harder than I am right now, and I'm the owner of the company. Right? So while I don't require that of everybody else, I require it of myself, right? So I don't require like my employees to work 12 hours a fucking day. No, I don't require that of them, right? In fact, I tell them to tear their ass oftentimes. Like, shut up and stop. Carol, I'm going to go ahead and call Carol out because this is a true story. It was, what was it, Saturday that I was working? And she hits me up on our little company DM shit. And she's like, you need me to do something. And I said, woman, if you don't, no, you are off. It's the weekend. I got it. But it does say a lot about them and obviously their character. They love being here and I appreciate them. But it's not a requirement. I require it of myself. But I don't require that of other people. Right? They can get their time off. They can do what they need to do. That's them. But for me, I'm a workhorse. I love it. Right? I fucking love it. The grind. Carol says, but she still lurked. I did. That is a true story. And that might have been this past weekend. I can't remember if it was this past weekend or this last. I just know it was a recent weekend. They start to run into each other. I was like, what are you? She asked me that. And I was like, I'm good. I got it. So yeah, that's just my approach, right? So it's benefited me. The reason I say that is because that's benefited me. It's got me promotions at the job, and it's got me to where I'm at right now. I don't believe the Rippaverse would be where it's at right now if I wasn't such a workhorse. Excuse me. You can have all the ideas, all you want. You can manage people really well, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to work. And yeah, not everybody can do that or wants to do that. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure with a 5. Now I picture Ripper working at Comcast, cussing people out. Believe it or not, a lot of my job when I was working in network support, engineering and shit, a lot of my job was cussing out internet service providers. Not even joking. So you're not entirely inaccurate there, because that was a lot of it. Because I'm doing everything that I can, and I know I'm not stupid. I know I got all this figured out. And things aren't working the way that they need to be. And so a lot of the job was phoning. It was less Comcast, more Spectrum. I don't know how many times I had to call fucking Spectrum to tell they ass to get in step. For sure. Garfield's Bizarre with a 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, Ben's in the chat too. What's up, Ben? Shout out. Let me hide this real quick. Appreciate that. So yeah, all right, guys, I'm gonna bounce here in a little bit. It's a great chat. We got an hour and a half stream. I'm gonna get back to work. Tomorrow, Tuesday night's main event. I think I'll be on Blaze tomorrow too. So you catch me there. On Sarah's show. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. Well, obviously you guys know that the sale is gonna end tonight. So if you have not got in on the Cyber Monday sale, make sure you go grab that. You all right? Brandon posted a clip of you shouting. Did he? I'm always all right though. But yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get to work. Thank you guys so much. I gotta give a big shout out to the cocky son of a gun that is Kevin for that $500 super chat. That's absolutely crazy. But I gotta bounce. Thanks for the support for Blood Ruth. Thanks for the support of Ripper Sin, Achromatic Chronicles Green. Shout out Jay. And thanks for getting in on this Cyber Monday sale. You're being able to take advantage of some nice prices. So go grab a shirt or something. Thank you guys. I gotta bounce. Until next time, y'all be easy. Peace out.